Hi, I'm Randy Taylor, and I'm here today with Jason Kraus, who's a very fascinating guy. He happens to be not only an author, but a past deputy sheriff. He's worked with counseling of kids that were underprivileged, and I just think you're going to find his story amazing. Jason, I'm thrilled to be here, but frankly, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is you've written this book that's totally unique and that it's different. It's called Late Bird. Could you tell me how you came about the motivation to start with this?
Well, and so what I did was I sat down and wrote my book. I wrote my story. And so I wrote Late Bird. And I talked about how I grew up in America, the things that I experienced in America. And I did it in a story version to show a better way, to specifically explain systemic changes that we have to make in America. Not do or we hope to make, but we have to make.
Okay, that's interesting, Jason. And by the way, I couldn't help but notice this amazing cover. Could you give me a little background on this? Is this you?
Most people do think it is, but actually it isn't. It's my nephew. My nephew when he was 6 years old.
Interesting. Now you told me also that you had a background working with abused kids. Now how does that come into the book?
Well, when I was a kid, fortunately for me, I say this all the time. The greatest thing that can happen to any child is to be born in the United States of America.
Okay.
And the second greatest thing is that you can have two loving parents,
Okay.
in that order. Because you can have loving parents from all over the world. If you're born in some place that doesn't have freedom, it doesn't matter if your parents love you, things are going to be rough. When I was in college, I decided I have a psychology degree, so I wanted to work with children. I like making a difference in their lives, and so I did that for quite a while. And the progression, natural progression, at least for me, is to move into law enforcement. And so a job became available. I applied, I was hired, and I ended up working as a sheriff's deputy in a local county jail. It was a very intense, powerful time in my life where I learned specifically that they're actually, growing up, I always knew there was right and wrong. But working in the jail, I experienced good and evil.
Now how did you come up with the title Late Bird?
Late Bird was, I was born in Southern California, and so back in the 70s, when we went to school, they broke us up into groups. So they tested us, and then they labeled us. And so if you didn't do very well on your test, they called you an early bird, and they made you come to school early. And if you did score very well, they called you a late bird, and when you came to school, they kicked you out onto the playground. Now, of course, for me, that wasn't that big a deal because I was being labeled as one of the smart kids. But when the early birds would come out to play, they were being beaten up by the late birds.
Kidding.
They were being, back then the word was retarded. And so they'd come out to the playground, and the kids, the bullies that were the supposed, not all of them, but some of the smarter ones. And so that's how, for me, most of my life, 99% of the fights I've ever been in were defending other people. And so it was something I hated, because when the early birds would come back, when they'd come out to the playground just to play, just to be children, they were being beaten up and abused just because a teacher had labeled them. A teacher had called them stupid.
And children can be cruel.
So are adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they have good role models.
Well,
giving them the right advice.
That's why we're here.
Jason, I want to thank you personally for taking your time to come here, and by the way, especially for being so candid, talking about items from your personal life. I think this book, Late Bird, is a must-have.
A must-have.
It is a must-have. I think it's something that would help parents and children alike, and I think your points in there and the fact that we're heading towards a movement of trying to get people to affect social change one at a time has real merit.